Hi, how are you, Amanda, Seint artist? We're going to talk about Seint makeup. Today, I want to talk about the dreaded sunspot, melasma, age spots, whatever you're calling yours. Let's cover it. I use Bella bronzer. I like using Bella bronzer because I'm not a fan of having a one-trick pony color. I like having something that does more than one thing. And Bella bronzer is my bronzer, but it's also my corrector. And I love that because this is a spot right here that makes me uncomfortable and I want to camouflage it as much as possible. So when it comes to correcting color, remember we are correcting a color. We are not covering a color. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the blush and bronzer brush because it also comes in a collection, which is a great deal. This is a great brush for applying your makeup, but it also comes in a collection where you spend the $36 on the brush and for $4 more, you get Bella bronzer. All right, so here's how I do it. Let's just dive right in. I'm going to start with this spot right here because this is the one we can see. Now again, we're correcting this, we're camouflaging this, we're not covering it. So I'm going to take the fluffy end of my brush and I'm going to stamp this into my bronzer. Okay, we don't want it cakey, we just want it on the tips of the bristles, and then we're going to go around it. Okay, we're going to stamp this around and we're going to add warmth around the spot because we are camouflaging it. And what's nice is once we apply our makeup over this color, it's going to pull warm and it's going to look natural. And if we want to add more bronzer at the end, we can do that and we don't need to worry. So again, stamping this around so you can see that it's camouflaging it. We're going to bring this up because I have some sunspots right here. I'm going to bring it up here. I have some coming in right here. And I'm just draping and blending my bronzer up and over. It's like a big C. We're just going around the eye here. I'm going to add a little bit of warmth up here at the hairline. It's going to give a nice, natural, warm tone. It doesn't look unnatural. It doesn't look like I did something weird. Maybe a little right here. But again, we're going to be applying our makeup on top of this. And I'm going to show you how to apply your makeup on top of a corrector like this. It's very, very easy. All right, I'm going to get the other side. I have a spot coming in right back here. And then I've got some sunspots right along with it. I got some sunspots coming in up here. I'm going to stamp in and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put this around the color, just like that. And we're bringing it up in that C motion. Okay, so we're just using very light circles and we're building. So we want a little bit and then we'll continue building. You can't mess this makeup up. If you put too much on, all you have to do is give it extra swirls and blend it down. This makeup is foolproof and it's easy because it's not a powder. It blends really well and it blends down and it's workable. All right, I'm just adding some and camouflaging that one spot and we're good to go. We've camouflaged, we've covered, and now we can put on our makeup. All right, I'm going to stick with the blush and bronzer brush. We've got it. Let's use it. I'm going to go into my contour first because this gives us a template of where all the colors go. And you don't want to use too much of your main highlight. We don't want a lot of product. What's nice about Seint is it's 80% pigmentation. Traditional makeup is 18%, so you need less product to get the same coverage result, but we're not going to add texture by adding too much product. And it blends down. They're creams, they're formulated the same, and they work the same. All right, so I've added my contour. I've put it on the two sides of my forehead because that's where we have natural shadowing. And then I'm just going to use little circles and I'm going to blend these together with that bronzer. It's going to create dimension. It's going to look a little weird because it's all I have on, but don't worry. We're going to move on, but first we're going to contour our face and we're going to create what I call no-fly zones. I'm going to flip it to this fluffy end here and I'm just going to give my whole forehead one big swirl. All right, let's move on to our nose. I'm going to use my finger and I'm going to go into Astoria Contour again. And I'm just going to come down on the sides of my nose here, the top sides, okay? I'm just going to straighten it out. I have a little bump right here, and this is how I'm able to straighten it out, just like this. We all have our stuff, right? And it doesn't have to be perfect, and I'm going to square it off right there. That's it, okay? We're going to push onto the side of the brush right here, and I have my cheekbone. Now, remember, we applied that bronzer right here. I'm going to make my cheekbones. Okay, this looks good, I know, but you can see my shadowing. I'm going to hug that cheekbone above that shadow, and I put that on, and I'm just going to stamp this back here on my cheekbone, and I'm not gonna come in past the outer corner of my eye. And I'm just gonna pop that in, and I'm pushing on the bottom part of my cheekbone. If you're new to contouring, just keep it in the back just like that. Really easy. I'm adding more, and I'm just tapping this in. You don't wanna wipe, we don't wanna cake up our brush. Same thing here, pushing onto that cheekbone, and see it's now going over that melasma spot. Just like that. We wanna underblend this. We wanna see it. What's left on my brush, I'm pushing in front of my earlobe and down. You can see it right there. And I'm just structuring my jaw. This is the step I like to take. It just slims things down back here. It gives it some structure. I mean, our makeup doesn't end right here. So I'm just pulling that contouring down, accentuating that shadow. All right, now we're gonna go in and we're gonna do some brightening. Let's use our finger on this. You can use your finger with your makeup. I'm just gonna tap this right here in between my brows. I'm gonna grab a little more, and I'm gonna come down the middle of my nose. It doesn't have to be tidy, it just has to be in the area. Grabbing more, I'm gonna accentuate my Cupid's bow, and I'm gonna reflect some light. And that's all we're doing with brightening, is bringing the lightness in and mimicking that reflecting light. I'm gonna do my under eyes, and I'm gonna start under the trough right here, and I'm gonna bring it up, and I'm gonna bring it over. I'm just gonna make a little messy spot here with my brightening, just like that, bringing it up and keeping it under the trough because I don't want to accentuate puffiness. I don't need a lot of product. It's all gonna blend together. I'm gonna put it right up here just to give my eye some lift. I mean, even just having that spot that you can really see lifts the eye just a bit. Just like that. We're done brightening, okay? Now I'm gonna go in with this brush, and I'm gonna go into my main highlight, and I'm gonna go right in between these two contours. And I'm gonna start at the back, and I'm gonna bring it down. And the reason I do that is the most product will land back here, not up here where I have my smile lines, where I have large pores. I don't want a lot of product there. And so I'm just going to stipple what's left on the brush up. If I need to add more, I'll just add a little bit more. But less is more with this makeup because of that pigmentation. Adding some more, starting at the back, I'm gonna pull it forward, and then I'm gonna stamp it up. Okay, so let's blend this, all right? That's all the main foundation that I need. You can't say that for traditional makeup. You gotta put it all over. It's paint by numbers, everything has a place, and once you figure out where those places are and how you like it, you're set, and this makeup goes on so fast. So I'm gonna start with blending my main highlight down here. If we just go up and down, it's all gonna turn into one big mess, and it's not gonna work. You're gonna start down here, and you're just gonna blend that main highlight. I'm gonna use little circles, and as I come down here, I'm gonna bring it to that brightening color. I'm gonna mix them up, and it's gonna create balanced skin tones. So I'm just gonna come up here, and I'm gonna stipple this right over here. I have discoloration, so I try to keep as much product as I can right there. So I stipple it on, and I push it in my skin, and it covers old acne scarring, just like that. All right, same thing over here. Little circles, I'm just blending right up here, and then I'm gonna stipple right up here. I have a spot right there that I wanna try to cover as much as possible. Look at that, it's gone. Just by stippling and moving that product there, I'm bringing it to the crease of my nose, to the smile. If I put a bunch of product there, it's gonna gather and look thick. I'm bringing it to that brightening. I'm gonna tap. And all this does is it's balanced my skin tone, and I have dimension with that brightening right there, with that reflected light. Now just blend this. If you feel like you have a lot of product, take that fluffy end and just give everything a little swirl, picks up excess product, and you're set. All right, let's move on to this brightening spot right here. We're gonna tap it, and we're gonna bring it out over the brows and up towards that contour that we have right here. We're gonna flip it to that fluffy end, and we're just gonna pull it up. And look at how it just balances out, and it works with that contour and that bronzer we had up there. The warmth is pulling through, the coolness of the contour is showing and giving us the dimension we want, and the brightening is giving us the balance of the reflected light. And it all comes together in this beautiful finish. Let's do our nose. We're gonna stick with this side right here. We're just gonna tap onto that contour. We're gonna go up and down. We're gonna move that contour to our brow, where our natural shadowing goes. Same thing right here, tapping up, bringing that to our brow, squaring off the nose. We're just blending out that contour. I'm gonna take my finger and I'm just gonna tap this brightening up and down, and it's gonna meld together with that contour and give a nice, beautiful, natural shadow. Take that and do that. And look at how nice and natural this looks. That's what I love about this makeup. That's what changed my mind. It wasn't the cost, it wasn't the ingredients, it looked better. I always try different makeups, and I tried Seint and I looked better, and it made me feel better, and that's what changed my mind. That's what got me on the Seint bandwagon. I've been using it for over 2 years and I love it. I have been using it for a year and I thought, I convinced some friends. Why don't I try sharing this with more people? And I did it, and I haven't regretted it since. So we're gonna go in, we're gonna pinch this, and I'm gonna tap onto that brightening, and I'm gonna pull it over. And by pulling, I'm tapping and moving this way. And it's bringing it over. I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna tap it in and up. And it's just gonna bring them together, and I'm pushing on my orbital bone because I don't want it focused on the soft tissue. I wanna bring it down to camouflage any puffiness, and this just gets it all blended together, and it gives me a brightness that makes me look a little more awake and it gives my eyes a more youthful finish. Same thing here, going up and over and focusing on that orbital bone. Same here, up and down, focusing on that orbital bone, up and down. The stippling method is what keeps us from picking up that corrector that we put down. If we were to circle over where we put that bronzer, it would pick it up, it would blend it together, and it wouldn't camouflage anymore. But stippling over it keeps everything where it is. Okay, I'm just gonna go over that contour. I'm keeping it at an angle. I'm just blending it out just a bit. I still wanna underblend it. All right, so this is the point where I decide, do I want more bronzer? And then of course, we're gonna pick our blush color, and I'm gonna be using the color Madrid because I love that color right now. I've just been absolutely loving it. It's right here, and look at how pretty. It's not super dark, it's not super light, it's just this really pretty peachy pink color, and I love it. All right, I'm gonna go in to Madrid first, and then we're gonna decide if we want more bronzer. We always want more bronzer, let's be real. All right, I'm going into Madrid, I'm picking it up. You could see just a little bit of pink. Remember that this is buildable, so I'm gonna start up here, and I'm gonna put this beautiful color on. I'm focusing it on the cheekbone just above that contour, and by adding this cheek color, it's blending down that contour even more, which is why I like to underblend it. And I'm just gonna keep blending this until I'm happy. I like to smile, and then I bring it down to my apples. That way I don't end up with a big bright circle in the middle of my cheek. Adding some more, I do the same thing over here, bringing it up. I also like this color because it's subtle and bright, but it has that subtleness to it that it also helps to camouflage that sunspot that I have. My melasma spot that I'm camouflaging right there, this color also helps with that. Madrid is such a pretty color because it's great for fall, it's great for spring, it's great for summer, and it's not super crazy. Okay, I think I'm looking pretty good. I'm gonna add Madrid to the fluffy end and just add a little bit more. I really like kind of a bold cheek, but I'm being really subtle today because it's a subtle day. All right, now I decide if I want more bronzer. I could stop here and be perfectly happy. If I want a touch of sun, I can absolutely do that. I'm gonna go in with the fluffy end. I'm gonna bridge my neck, just adding a little bronzer to my neck because my neck is always lighter than my face, so I just add a little bit. I'm gonna go to the big or the smaller end. I'm gonna tap a little bit of bronzer on. I'm gonna hit a high point. A high point is where your brows are up high, where the sun's gonna hit first. And I'm gonna hit this high point right here too. And I'm just gonna bring these together, flip it to the fluffy end, and I'm just gonna give it a little wipe. And this just adds a little extra warmth. And that's the difference, just a little bit of extra warmth. It's so pretty. But this is how I cover my sunspots and how I cover my melasma spots with Bella bronzer. It's just adding a little bit before you apply your makeup and then stippling your makeup over it. Make sure you're stippling your makeup over your correctors or you'll pick it up and then all your work is gone. And then if you feel like you have too much product on, you just take this fluffy and you go over it. I always over apply down here. It happens to everybody. You will over apply. We're just gonna do this. If you like a matte finish, You can take the Vanilla Dust setting powder, push some on your brush, and then wherever you get oily, I get really oily, right here in the middle of my forehead. And then some people just like a nice matte finish. I start up here. This is where I don't have a lot of texture. I put it here first, and then I bring it down to my pores. If I put it over where I have larger pores first, it's going to accentuate them, and I don't want to do that. So I put it on first, and then I bring it down. And then whatever's left on the brush, you can tap over, and you can make this as dewy or as matte as you want. You have all the control with Seint because it has a dewy finish, and if you like a dewy finish, don't add powder. But if you want kind of a mid matte, you can have that. You can have whatever you want one day and have something totally different the next day without buying a bunch of different foundations to get that. That's it. I'm going to take my setting spray. I use Charlotte Tilbury. And I just spray that on. I have very oily skin, so Charlotte Tilbury is what works best for me. Let's do a lip color. Because we're here, we got to finish the face. So I'm going to take my finger, I'm going to push into Astoria Contour, and I'm going to give myself a soul patch. I have a little bit left, and I'm going to kiss my Cupid's bow. And when I kiss it, I'm just wiping it down, just like this. I'm not giving myself a mustache. I'm just creating a little shadowing up here. I'm going to push this out, and it just creates this little shadow. Look at that. That makes my lips look fuller. I'm going to take a lip liner. I love this combo lately. I'm using MAC Half Red, and it's such a pretty color. I'm going to line my lips. I do not outer line my lips at all. I can always tell when somebody does that, and then I wonder if people can tell if I did that. I used to do that until I really started noticing how bad it can look. Not always, but I have a definite different texture of my lip and my skin, and so when I outer line, I think everybody can see it. All right, outlining the lips, done. And I'm gonna go into the shade of the month, Lolly. This is the April shade of the month. It'll be around for April and May, and it's a sheer pink. So it's not super bright, and I'm just gonna go over. And I like that it's a gloss because it's hydrating. If you're ever using and you love the satin finish of our blushes, put a chapstick down, put a lip conditioner down, a balm down. It's whatever you want. Put a gloss down first and then top it with whatever satin finish you want, and it won't look so dry. There we go. That's a pretty pink, right? So it's MAC Half Red with Lolly, and it's so, so pretty. All right, that's it. Have a great day.